the trade of underground illegal cultural property. All right, you really lost me now, Brother Salim. What are you talking about? Do you realize that the most lucrative industry after the war on drugs is the illegal underground trade of cultural property? Now, what is cultural property? Cultural property is artifacts, books, manuscripts, shards, any kind of representation of ancient culture or society on this earth from past civilizations is cultural property, and it gets traded around the world as the biggest underground trade in millions and billions of dollars on this earth that nobody ever talks about or speaks about, and you hardly ever hear about it. Why? Why is that? What is it with all these nerds and their attachment to ancient artifacts? See, what has been known amongst the most secret brotherhoods and the most ancient of royal families and the elites of society that hasn't been known to the majority of the masses and even the academics is what the Quran and all of the esoterics have always known, is that the societies that preceded us have always been more spiritually advanced than us and technologically advanced than us, that we have been devolving as a society, not evolving. There is a de-evolution process that has been going on for a whole age of mankind as a process and test for ourselves. We said Adam, peace and blessings be upon him, start at the beginning at a higher level. And we have been going down to a lower and denser level as a society. This has been a de-evolution process. And that's how come all of us, no matter how many societies are on this earth, we all say that our forefathers were the most respected of us. Now, what does that have to do with cultural property? Many people are starting to realize as they look back on cultural property and they re-examine the ancient past, as the Quran reminds you, go back to the ancient society, see how advanced they were, see how far they got. Allah always tells you in the Quran that they were way further than you think. They were way more advanced than you have assumed. They got way farther than you can comprehend. And still that led to their downfall if they did not realize what has happened on this earth. So yes, we say, okay, there has been from the time of Adam cycles of mankind and civilizations of rises and falls. And perhaps we are coming to the seventh stage of man, or different cycles of empires. Is that what the verse means? Is that what 7 ages of earth mean? Well, that's an interesting concept, that there are 7 stages of development of man. We said that was an early concept, and so we can kind of see that played in, but that's not really what we're talking about. Let's go back in the past and look at the connections on a spiritual level. We said in our story, we get back to ancient man and he's looking up at the sky and he sees 7 objects orbiting. And he starts to realize something deep. And this is the way the game's structured. We're in a game, we're looking up at the sky, we're trying to get our fix on our situation. We can physically see with our eye 7 orbital objects. We're at the time of Abraham. And Abraham looks up at the sky, and we go back in our story and we see that same patterning, and we know that Abraham gets beyond the pattern of 7 and gets beyond that cycle and learns what's going on in the skies and gets to the patterning of 12 and gets to the cycles and ages of man and gets to the point where in the story something happens. He has destroyed the false idols. He has gone through his process and he is now ready to talk to the leadership of the community and challenges Nimrod and says there is only one God. And Nimrod at this point is trying to decipher the understanding of the skies and the heavens. And he is building a tower to decipher the physical levels of manifestation of the skies. And in his arrogance, he believes that he can physically ascend himself. Well, now is not the time for physical ascension. And Abraham says, your Lord Most High is the only one who gives life and takes life. And Nimrod arrogantly says he can give life and take life. And Abraham makes the challenge. My Lord is the one who rises the sun in the east. Can you make it rise in the west? We've been through this story, but now let's talk about it in the patterning of 7. And that Nimrod is trying to figure out a pattern of ascension for his physical body into the heavens. And Abraham answers him by telling him, our Lord is the one who makes the sun rise in the west. Don't you see, my brothers and sisters, those of you who followed us in the tale, is that Ibrahim is telling Nimrod the time for physical ascension is when? When the signs of the sun rising in the west come. And that is not happening at this moment, you Nimrod. When is that going to happen? Ibrahim is saying, there are many signs to come. But Abraham knows the signs. Now we go on in the story. We get to the next part where Joseph is now taught the pattern. Joseph, we said, says, I see the 11 stars or planets, Kokab, bowing down to me, and the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon and 11 and me. I see the sun and the moon and 12, he says to his father Jacob. His father Jacob says, listen, right now what this means, in the physical plane, as far as the map is concerned, this has to do with your brothers. And this has to do with what's going to happen in your future. So let's just not talk about this with your brothers, because there's a lot that's going to happen, my son. Right? We know what this means. Even Joseph himself doesn't know what this means. And we who have been on the story knows what it means for the patterning of 12 planets, and even what this means for the ascension, and even what it means as the sun and the moon bowing down to those of us who follow the story of Joseph, who are shining beacons of light from this earth. Oh, my brothers and sisters, we're playing a fun game. But we're talking about the pattern of 7. So Joseph's pattern is about 12 in the spiritual realm. But we said, no, Joseph's pattern needs to be about 7. Well, how does Joseph use the 7 pattern? Well, Joseph, his gift is what? The understanding of the higher realms, the understanding of the heavens, the understanding of the astral planes. If we're talking about ascended mastery or gurus or ancient spiritual teachings from the Eastern societies where they talk about chakras, the higher realms, the astral planes. Joseph, his gift is the dreams.